That's why it bothers me so much that when we give this kind of money to the wealthiest countries in the world, and yet for our own people, the homeless, the sick, the poor, the farmers who are really going through hell right now, those people we're not helping. And why should we? I think it's ridiculous. And this country shouldn't be raising taxes. We ought to be lowering taxes. We should have a surplus, not a deficit, because the kind of money that I'm talking about, and you can call them, as the gentleman before said, you can call it a tax, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but those countries should be paying us major billions of dollars, and you won't have any deficits whatsoever, and then we'll be able to help the poor and the sick and the homeless and the farmers and everybody else. Well, I think, just to answer your first part, I believe it's very important that you have free trade. But we don't have free trade right now, because if you want to go to Japan or if you want to go to Saudi Arabia or various other countries, it's virtually impossible for an American to do business in those countries. It's virtually impossible. And I have many friends, they go over to Japan. They can't open up anything. They need approvals. They need this, that. In the meantime, Japan comes over to this country. They're buying up Wall Street. They're buying up all of Manhattan's real estate. They're buying, which is fine as far as I'm concerned, because they're paying premium prices that put people like myself in a very good position if I ever want to sell something. So the fact is that you don't have free trade. We think of it as free trade, but you right now don't have free trade. We don't give anything to our farmers. Our farmers are dying. There's no question about it. Farms that were in for generations and families, they're being taken away. The homeless are all over the streets of the major cities, the sick and the problems, and yet we'll give billions of dollars in defending countries that have 5 times more money than we can ever hope to have. It's ridiculous. I'm not talking about taxing. I think that people should make a contribution, and a major contribution, other countries, to this country for what we're doing to keep their freedom and to keep them free and to allow them to be free. And would you rather have that, or would you rather see this country to go totally bust in another couple of years, because this country cannot afford to defend Japan and every other country in the world? It just cannot afford it.
It wouldn't be a tax. It would be more a payment in kind, like for landing space at airports, right?
It would be, you could call it anything you want. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I don't care what it's called, but I think that Japan and all of these other countries should certainly pay. They can well afford to pay.
I think it's almost to that point now, isn't it?
There's a book out, Don, that says that already exists, that Japan is, in a sense, wielding the rope with us.
I believe it already is true to a large extent, and there's no reason for it to be. If we had the right people, if we had the right people with the right instincts and business ability, there'd be no way that that could happen. And that's why I hate to see what I see. By the way, I like the Japanese very much. I do tremendous amounts of business with them. They do very well as far as I'm concerned. A man just bought a $21 million apartment in one of the buildings I own.
A what?
A $21 million. He bought 7 apartments, a Japanese man, wonderful man. He bought 7 apartments, put them together. He's building a $21 million apartment. That's without the cost of construction, by the way. Plenty of money. I like them very much, but they laugh at us. They're laughing at this country and the way the country is being managed. And they should be laughing.
Donald,
they should be laughing.
In a $3 million apartment, if you got apartment 3B, and 3A is hanging a picture, you wouldn't hear that in 3B, would you?
Well, hopefully not in the kind of buildings I
Okay,
live.
no, it's just...
Well, good morning, everybody. I wanted to start with that because I wanted people to understand that Donald Trump has not changed in 40 years. That video was filmed in 1987. So you got 97, 07, 017, and we're coming up pretty close to 2027. You know, so in these 38 years, he has not changed his viewpoint one bit about what to do to save America. This man has never wavered with his point of view as to what is happening to the American people, what is happening to the American economy, and what is being done to the American taxes and to the taxpayer, to the taxpayers themselves individually, right? You know, so yeah, I thought that was would be an interesting way to start today, because of the fact that you know. Well, because of that fact, you know, this guy has not changed his opinion one bit about what's going on. And I think that these are things that need to be recognized for what they are, and that but everybody else that we've ever seen in regards to politics has flip-flopped on so many different topics and subjects that we just don't get, we don't get the right answers. All right. I think I'm down here at the beginning of my feed. I got a couple of things left over from yesterday that I wanted to cover. Those of you that missed it last night, Dave's podcast was removed from YouTube, I guess at about 4 o'clock this morning, because of the 2 clips that he played from the Olympics. I have trimmed out those sections. Once those are completely removed, and that is all set, I believe that we should be able to have that podcast back up for you by the end of the day. So we covered most of that with Dave last night. All right, so we're going to start off with Script Keeper. All right, Script says they've all been grifting, scheming, and working against President Trump since day one. Let me guess, Hillary is getting locked up in October for the public also. Do the research, connect the dots, guys. And this is the thing is that wouldn't it be interesting if Hillary did come to the forefront, ended up on the ticket, right? And then she got arrested in October, just like the Q post said. Michael, to remove a 7-second clip of the Olympics is not bowing down. Okay. There's 3.5 to 4 hours of other content that people need to see. And frankly, I don't watch the Olympics. After what I saw in 2012, I don't promote the Olympics in any way, shape, or form. So I could care less about the Olympics, okay, and about a 7-second clip that needed to be removed. What, get the channel taken down? Are you going to buy me the new phone that I need in order to start another one? Are you?
So now that everybody's heard this and saw the boards compromised and seen how the Flynn network has been working behind the scenes on the other side, and then they peddle a story to you like this. This is why I put this up. Everybody's like, oh, this is a great story. It's a great story. Sorry, Scrib. Patrick is bullshit. Yeah, we fucking know, bro. We've been fucking telling y'all, man. Do you guys go down my page? Do you go down the page, or you just go to the first video and comment without thinking? Have you been to my other posts? We've been showing Patrick and the Flynn Bros Network have been lying, scheming, and working with both sides.
All right. Yep. And he's talking about Patrick Byrne. And that interview with Patrick Byrne, Dave played that last night. Well, actually, I can play it again now as well. But yeah, so it's where
I bribed Hillary Clinton $18 million. I facilitated a bribe for Hillary Clinton on January 14th, 2016, right here in this town. On behalf of the FBI, they came to me around December 1st, 2015. They told me Hillary Clinton had accepted a bribe from Turkey for $20 million. They told me that I would be working for a group in New York, FBI agents, who had authorization to set Hillary Clinton up in a sting. They asked me to facilitate a bribe for her, an $18 million bribe from another government. The bag man from that other government was I was to befriend, and I was to get that person 10 minutes alone in a room with Hillary Clinton. I did. On January 14th, 2016, Hillary Clinton was in this town, and she met in a way that was kept off her schedule. She accepted an $18 million bribe. But General Barr knows this. This is the Durham. They know this was what is behind it all. And I'll even tell you, I'm going to drop one more thing. I've been waiting to say this publicly, and this is what really happened. I will tell you, if you hear this and you give me 90 seconds, your viewers will understand what's happened in the last 5 years in America. I've been waiting to say this on mainstream TV, and they will not have me back, because once they understood what this was about. I had Hillary Clinton. I caused Hillary Clinton. I facilitated a bribe, and she took a second bribe for $18 million. And I worked with the FBI as I did that. They're deeply involved in this. They came to me 3 days later and told me I had to forget about it and forget that it ever happened. And I said, "What are you talking about?" And they gave me one excuse. They said, Hillary's going to win, and it's been decided upstairs. Nothing's going to be able to stop that now. So she's going to win, and she's going to send her people over to the FBI and ask who was part of investigating Hillary, and any of us who were part of it are going to be destroyed, and that includes you too, Patrick. And so this mission has been scrubbed from the highest level. But 2 or 3 weeks later, I was back with 3 federal agents this time. 3 federal agents. And I let them know that wasn't sitting, and this is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that wasn't sitting well with me. And I'd like to know why we had almost a year before the election. This had me and another person in front of a grand jury in a week and gotten her indicted. They told me, this word for word, "Patrick, what's really going on is this. President Obama has his people across the federal bureaucracy at this point, but especially the Department of Justice. Hillary Clinton is going to be president for 8 years, and nothing's going to change that. But think of there being a Bunsen burner within the Department of Justice. That evidence about the 2 bribes you were part of gathering is going to be sitting on the Bunsen burner. And the hand on the Bunsen burner is going to be one of Barack Obama's people. If Hillary's a good girl and defends Obamacare, that flame stays low. If she's a bad girl and thinks for herself, it's going to get turned up high. That way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for the 8 years she's president, and then she's going to step down, and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan. That plan was called the Operation Snow Globe. That was Brendan Obama's name for it. Snow Globe, they were trying to get Hillary to step into a snow globe. I'm looking for a prop. A snow globe that anytime they wanted, they could then pick up and shake for 8 years. My bribe was the bait to get her to step into the snow globe. That's all from it. This isn't a theory. I'm the guy in the room. I'm acknowledging I took part in all this, and I thought I was helping them conduct federal law enforcement. It turned out that I was helping them set up Hillary Clinton for a deep state to control her. From Obama against Hillary, that when Trump won in a fluke, it got morphed into the Russian collusion delusion. The reason I mentioned that I knew in October 2018 that this was going to happen was because in 2018 I was offered, a federal agent came to tell me, "Patrick, you need to understand there are billionaires walking around this world that we made, and we're prepared to do the same for you. You just have to stay calm. You just have to stay quiet through the election." And by that election, I knew he meant 2020 election. So I've known that they were going to hijack this election since October of 2018.
All right. So, and that's what he was talking about. That's what Script Keeper was talking about. Patrick's he's a crook, no different than the rest. Absolutely 100% no different than the rest. All right, Mark Lewis. Oops, how did this get leaked out?
Internet is forever. Do you remember this?
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were 2 of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information, would exculpate your your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden.
What a mess.
And we knew about that, but it's funny to hear Joe Biden say it. It really is very, very telling and very funny to hear Joe Biden say it. But that happened during their primary when Kamala was actually running for president, right? So all those things that were stated by Democrats and Democrats are actually becoming very prevalent today because they're trying to hide the fact that these things were going on, right? And it's kind of funny how that all works out. Okay, I have my water delivery is coming in just a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is, because I've got to go and get the other generator moved over to start pumping this water. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw on Melissa's Red Pills podcast from yesterday. It is a, oh, where is it? There it is. Get over there. There we go. It's actually a short one. It's only about 14 minutes long. And it's enough for me to be able to get that started and get back in here. So I'm just going to throw this on for a few. This is Too Big to Rig, Act Blue scandal, arrests. 7. This was done yesterday. So let's go ahead and jam into this one for a few minutes, and I'll be back with you guys. Too sweet.
There, Patriots, I'm so glad you are with me today. Look who I have. I have Steve Stern. He is on with us to share about the election integrity. Hey, my brother, how are you?
I'm doing good. So you and I both got back from Europe, and, we're time different, so we don't know where we are, but we're here.
Right.
Because,
Yes.
One thing I learned, I came back, and the next day everybody says, why are you working? Why aren't you, taking it easy? And I said, well, when you have a passion and you want to try to save the country, that's what we're trying to do. So you and I are the same way. No matter where we go, we say we're not going to bring our laptop, we're not going to bring our computer, we're not going to bring our phones, but we do. And that's why we're getting in trouble, So
Right. Exactly.
So
that's just, it's such a, it also energizes us, I think. And my battalion feels the very same way. They fight every day. They share, they post. They've been working on the election integrity. And just, that's what we do. We are, God chose us for this. And there's no stopping us because of that. All right. So we're going to talk about election integrity because you've got a very special meeting that you've been doing, all these great meetings. And I really appreciate everything you're doing. So he's got one coming up on the 31st. Okay, everybody write that down with your number 2 pencil, right? Let's
not write it down, but, take a picture, put it in your phone so you don't forget. And why is it important for this election integrity? Because we only have a little bit of time to make this happen because people are already voting next month, early voting, and we got to get this stuff done. And we have a couple of big things going on. So the first thing that's going to happen on this election security meeting, we're going to have Captain Maureen Bannon on. She's going to tell us why people should get involved and talk a little bit about her father, who's in jail, who we're going to talk about here. The first thing about standwithbannon.com. I'm actually going to Turning Point tomorrow. The family has entrusted us in making this shirt, and in 2 weeks, we sold 3,000 pieces real quick. And if you want to get it, go to standwithbannon.com. Very simple. Let's, provide this. Send me a picture. We'll put it up. We want to get this done because he's the number one guy in election integrity and precinct strategy. Been doing this for 14 years.
Yep.
And
they're clearly trying to shut him up because they have him sequestered until the election. So they are afraid of him and they're afraid of the war room, and we just can't let that slow us down one little bit. Everyone just redouble their efforts. So standwithbannon.com and you can get this cool shirt. I bet it'll be a big conversation starter, and also just go, continue to share everything that's going on the War Room. And I share that stuff constantly. So for those of you who are new, go to freedomforce.live. You can go right here to the social media, and you'll find, join all the social media, and you can make sure to share out in all these locations, all this information, this great information we get from Steve Bannon's War Room. So that's, definitely for sure. So, but I want to make sure that before we leave this screen, Steve, that everyone knows next Wednesday on the 31st of July at 3 p.m. Eastern, you're having this election security Zoom call. Lots of big names of people who are working hard to get this election secure. So tell us more about that.
Right. So we'll tell you about the people who are going to be on. And we have this every 3 weeks. And what happened was when I saw President Trump, who you see in the background, a couple of years ago, he asked me to get involved in that because we do the precinct strategy Zoom. So we put the precinct strategy Zoom together with the election integrity Zoom. And we started building it up, and we started getting 200 people, 300 people. And then about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, Steve Bannon says, hey, why don't we put this live on Getter? And we got 20,000 people. Then you said, hey, why don't we put this live on your thing? And we got another 10,000 people. So we're expecting about 40,000 people on it. And we're going to have a Greg Stenstrom on from Pennsylvania, who has parallelelection.com. He's going to tell you how the election is being stolen, because when it goes in the machine and this information gets in there, it doesn't come out the same way. So when you put your vote in, you think that it's being counted one way, and it could be counted another way. So he's going to explain that and let you know. Then we have Rosemary Jenks, who luckily I just found out about her. I saw her on Bannon. I called her right up. And she's going to talk about the illegal aliens and what's going to be done about that. And then we're lucky to have Mike Lindell come on. Mike said, yes, I got to speak. He's going to tell you something new that he's working on about he works on the machines, but he's also going to be talking about getting your vote in early and making sure that your vote counts. Then we're going to have a guy named Marcel Serbich, and he's in Ohio, and he's working very closely with the Ohio Secretary of State, bringing information about how a lot of people are not where they say they're going to be. In other words, the illegal aliens, how they get it to be able to vote, and they're actually not voting, but the NGO people are voting for them. What happens?
Exactly.
One of our problems is that when they come into this country, the NGOs, which stands for non-government organizations, because a lot of people don't understand that, they take them. They're either church people or they're people that have organizations on the left. And what they do is they bring them in, they get them a driver's license. And once you get a driver's license, you could sign up and become, to register to vote. Now, a lot of them are Hispanic, and they don't really understand what's happening in the English. So the NGO said, well, just check this off and sign this. So they're checking off that they are legal citizens. And it's going to be hard to stop that. So we're working on this.
It's going to hurt them in the future because this is going to the fraud that they're perpetrating. But they a lot of them have no idea. But for those of you who don't realize, I'm sure most of you guys on my channel do. These people most of them are not going to go over and vote. All that the left wants to do is make a ballot so that they can vote for them. Right, Steve?
100%. So we have a girl in Connecticut, Linda Sinkowitz. She's going to be coming on, and why I love her the most is because she is actually getting people off the voter rolls, and she will give anybody that has an organization 500 people that voted twice, 3 times, and registered twice. Now, people will say, oh, yeah, it's probably just a small amount of people. We're talking about 500 people in your county. So if you can imagine how many people in the United States actually vote twice or registered twice, and how does that happen?
Right.
Well, in New England, a lot of people own houses in 3 areas. They own a house in New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, and it's very hard to stop them.
Right.
So,
and they sign up in multiple counties.
Exactly. So she's going to talk about that. And she is actually in Connecticut and has arrest warrants for people that have done that. And the police wouldn't arrest them. So she went to the Supreme Court in Connecticut, and it's up there. She's going to discuss that. Then we have Michelle Swinick in Arizona, who's going to talk to you about what she found out over the last 2 years. She was a judge in Maricopa County and found out how the election was not done right there. You know what happened? They had 2 size ballots. One was a regular ballot, and one was a little smaller. So it jammed the machines, and therefore it took 6 hours for people to vote standing in line. And a lot of them left and went home, and that's why we lost the election in Arizona. So a lot of people don't know this. She's on Bright T on TV, and she's on every Friday night, and she's going to explain a lot about this. Then we're going to have one of your favorites, Catherine Engelbrecht.
Yes.
Where you are, True to Vote. She's going to be talking about the illegal aliens also and explain that to you. We're also going to have Erin Atkins, who's in West Palm Beach, and she's working on, as the votes come in, the ballots, they're working with candidates to make sure that the signatures match up to what they're doing. So we have a lot of people working. There's going to be a lot of information coming out. We're going to have Raj, who works with me on this. He's going to be talking about Defend Florida. So you're going to learn a lot of information because we have top people coming on, and every 3 weeks it happens. And you're going to be able to be in, if you want to, there's 2 ways to get on. One is to go to sstern1054@gmail.com, get a link to the actual thing. The other one is to come onto your site. The other place is go to Stern American Rumble. That's Stern American Rumble. We'll be live there. We'll be live on your channel, and we'll also be live on Getter on Bannon. So Can you imagine how many places, plus X and Facebook and wherever else we can get it live? So there's going to be a lot of information coming out on that. And I think that's so important,
Yes.
to do that. So we need people to get involved. And,
action. It's about action, action, action. Everybody doing whatever they can, listen to the different speakers and figure out, what, may be able to help each one of them to accomplish all these different tasks. And what we had done, I did this video after I came on, onto the election security Zoom, and I got with Catherine Engelbrecht, and she showed us exactly what to do to remove these voters who are at commercial locations or duplicates. And so her system is unbelievably simple to use, you guys. If you haven't done it, you've got to do it today. Our time is really, really running short. In some places, the window might have actually already closed. But this is the video. If you go to my Rumble and you just search 30 minutes to save the world, this is done. Was done June 12th. 2024. You can watch that video, and she goes through just step by step. It's very, very simple to do. But basically on here, the IV3 project is what we did, and we removed 1,500 voters. They're suspended from being able to vote because they are at a commercial location, and they need to prove that this is truly their, that they live at this commercial location. And so currently they are on suspended status until they prove that they do live at this commercial, gas station or whatever it is. So the other thing is you can do scan, check, protect over here on truethevote.org. And then you can know, like what you were saying before, if your old address that you were at, if it's still being used to create a ballot that they can use to vote in your stead. So that all these things are so amazing. And so definitely go to my website, my Telegram, and you can see this link right here. Just search election security Zoom. You can get that big link right there, jotform.com, 231, blah, 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 whatever, that big long number. And you can sign up to be on this Zoom call. You can also, like I said, you'll be able to see it on my Rumble. You can also see it on sternamerican.com. All right. So the other thing we wanted to talk about real quick is this whole business with the Act Blue. Do you want to tell everybody your thoughts on that?
So Jay Valentine 3 years ago was talking about it and people didn't listen. What's happened is he has the software to be able to figure out where all this money is coming from. So what happened when they try to get $80 million in fast? What happens is it goes through credit cards that they don't really check. And it's funny because people have donated 100 times, $20, $30, $40. It's coming in from Russia. It's coming in from China. It's coming in from all over the world. And the Democratic Party, all the way to the left, are trying to change our country and make it very unfair. So this blue money, which is hurting us, and we can't match that because we try to do things fair.
Exactly.
So we're asking all our billionaires start to donate to match this money, because if we don't match this money, it's going to hurt us. So you can also point out some of the stuff. You also listen to that. But one of the most important things is in this election, there are 30 counties that in the 8 states, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Texas, Georgia, are going to make a difference in this election.
Right.
And we to let everybody know about that because we have to key in on that in order to do the election. So we have limited time today. Come on our Zoom meeting. You will get a lot of information. I know it's and if you can't make it, we can always get you the link to it, but Stern American. And if you want to watch some of the old ones before you watch this, because you missed it, go to Stern American Rumble and you will see them. So have a nice weekend, have a nice vacation.
Awesome.
And action.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Steve, for everything you're doing, because this is really where the rubber meets the road. We have to do everything we can to get the elections secured.
No, I'll be right back
And
out.
President Trump has said multiple times, he says, we're not going to let it happen. And this is a big part of our role, is to do whatever we can do in our precinct, be a precinct chairman, be a watcher, remove all these voters that maybe dead voters or whatever it is, to make sure that we get these elections secured. So thank you for everything you're doing. I really appreciate you so much. Mr. Stern American. Awesome. I'm so glad to see you guys. All right, everybody, let's go. Action, action, action. And I will talk to you later.
Okay. So I'm back with you guys only for a second. I've got to throw another video on. The dogs have the delivery guy surrounded right now. His kid just ran to tell me. It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. I told him all you got to do is pet the dogs, pet the dogs, pet the dogs. I gave him a bag of treats to give him, and he's afraid to open the dang bag of treats to give to him. Oh, all right. I'm going to throw this on. I'll be back with you right after this. Another short one. It's about 16 minutes long. Here we go. Sorry about the commercial ads that he's going to run ahead of time. We got to go.
And this doesn't make any sense. Again, so no part of the official story makes sense. Remember, the Secret Service had said they couldn't put a sniper on this roof here because it was too sloped. Well, he just showed you it's not too sloped. A 70-year-old man was up there walking around, no problem.
Hey, friends. Sean from SGT Report here. That was the great Jimmy Dore explaining what we all know to be true. Nothing about the official story about the Trump assassination attempt makes any sense whatsoever.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
Friends, we have to get to the bottom of Dealey Plaza 2.0, or it's game over for our republic. By the way, Google is now scrubbing any mention of the Trump assassination attempt from search results. It will not autofill, and it will not let you Google Trump assassination. Google is Illuminati. Google is election interference. Google is evil. Before we start this one, friends, just a quick word about our sponsor. You know, digestive issues are caused by a potential toxin that's in all of the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat with that fraudulent food pyramid. And this toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist. It's affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain and fatigue, digestive discomfort, and stiff joints, even skin problems. Dr. Gundry explains these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years. The damage is probably being caused by health foods, and it's far from normal. The good news is you can easily help fix the problem from your own home. It's simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain this hidden potential toxin. So find out for yourself at gutcleanseprotocol.com/SGT. That's gutcleanseprotocol.com/SGT. Because after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release an informative video to the public for free and uninterrupted, showcasing exactly which foods you must avoid. So click below and find that video. It's gutcleanseprotocol.com/SGT. Friends, the official story about the Trump assassination attempt is completely falling apart at the seams. Not one shred of the official story makes any sense whatsoever. And researchers like George Webb and John Cullen over on Twitter and so many other great researchers are putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And it looks like this. Maxwell Urich is quite possibly the actual shooter who was shot dead on the roof, or at least the patsy we're told was the shooter. Maxwell Urich used the name Thomas Matthew Crooks on Steam. So the cutout is Crooks. The actual patsy, the shooter, appears to have been Maxwell Urich. Now, George Webb is asking important questions about the white van that was reported to be at the scene, which held explosives in it. That white van was hauled away, not to be seen or heard from again, and the mainstream horror media is ignoring it, covering it up. George Webb wants to know, can the white van filled with explosives be linked to Maxwell Urich?
Okay, hello everybody, George Webb, and a lot of reporting about Urich that we're doing. We still have the FBI stonewalling on the white van. And this, we saw a president. The only difference between the Kennedy assassination and the Trump assassination is 1 inch. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's 1 inch. The Zapruder film to what we saw, 1 inch difference. So we need answers. We need to know what the license plate was, how it mapped back to Arizona. And I'm not giving up on any leads in Arizona until I know about the white van and what the license plate number was, especially when you sell sniper material and muzzles and suppressors and sniper rifles and all the other sniper paraphernalia. And the CIA is out with a ridiculous thing today saying is Thomas Crooks and MK Ultra. No, you don't need MK Ultra. You don't need deprivation and all these things. All you need is a girl. You just need to go get the kid out of the high school, take him out to the shooting range, introduce him to a couple of hot girls. You want to control a 17 or 18-year-old? Introduce him to a hot girl. You don't need all this MK Ultra bullshit that they're trying to say. And the CIA is responding to something that's not anything we've ever accused of the Antifa recruiter, the Antifa groomer of. Yeah, Antifa groomer's not stupid. He's a rock star, good-looking guy. He's smart enough to go get a really good-looking girl, and he can do whatever he wants with Crooks. That's how Crooks is on that roof. That's how Crooks is on the roof. We just want answers, and the FBI needs to give us those answers.
So George Webb is insinuating that Matthew Crooks was indeed on the roof, but the images of the dead shooter very much look like Maxwell Urich, and the white van was tied to Maxwell Urich. Now, in this next clip, we'll tie it all together with the CrowdStrike outage across the United States and, in fact, the world. Their plan was to bring the world to its knees after the successful assassination of Donald J. Trump in Butler, PA. And by the way, what is the difference between Dealey Plaza and Butler, PA? 1 inch.
What happened Thursday? CrowdStrike blackouts. Right. That was intentional. That was supposed to be the full shutdown. Right. But because Donald Trump did not die, they had to pull the plug on that. What you're saying is they pulled the plug on the total shutdown, and it was too late for them to stop the entire thing because it was all planned ahead of time, already put in place. And they utilized that shutdown to erase evidence of who was responsible for this. The plan was erase the evidence of who did it. Right. Then we blame it on Iran. We go to war with Iran, and then we say, MAGA guys, they killed your hero. Let's unite as Americans and let's go get them. And their plan was that all of us, quote unquote, deplorables would say, yeah, kill them. And then we would go over there and fight another war with another generation of our strongest men and get them killed so that we could relieve ourselves again of the exact people who are most likely to rebel against this nonsense.
So if you're able to follow that, guys, the way I'm taking it is this. The deep state was shocked that Trump was not assassinated. The shadow government that set this up was absolutely shocked to its core when the assassination attempt failed. Fight, 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 Trump said. That's all now being scrubbed from the internet by Google. They don't want people to see that miraculous moment when Trump miraculously dodged the assassin's bullet. In a successful assassination, we would have been told the assassin was Maxwell Urich of Antifa, an Antifa member, which may have led to riots and civil war. And then the CrowdStrike outage just days later would have plunged us into days of darkness. But because of divine intervention, the assassination attempt failed. So the shadow government needs to pin it on crooks and not the Antifa shooter, because that narrative needs to be put back in the closet. These people are in a corner. We know what they've done. By the way, from John Cullen, do you see what was captured in this video? It appears to be a sniper in the first floor window of the building upon which Crooks or Urich's body was located. Who was this shooter inside the building? Secret Service, CIA, DHS. In other news, Archbishop Vigano, who was excommunicated from the Catholic Church by order of Pope Francis, a Satanist, well, he's come out strongly condemning the Satanic Olympics in Paris as a vile attack on God by the anti-Christian elite who want to undermine traditional family roles. He goes on to note, these satanic rituals are a recurring theme for the elite, previously seen in the 2012 London Olympics, the 2016 Goddard Tunnel opening, and the 2022 Commonwealth Games. He was disturbed by what he saw in Paris during the Olympics ceremony by the following: transvestite and effeminate dancers, a parody of the LGBTQ plus Last Supper, holograms of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and a decapitated Marie Antoinette celebrating the French Revolution. He even called out Emmanuel Macron's wife as a transvestite and described Michelle Obama as a muscular man in a wig. And this is all true. This is the revelation of the method. The New World Order wants you to know they worship Lucifer, and they think there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I quote Archbishop Vigano. Emmanuel Macron, who passes off a transvestite as his own wife with impunity, just as Barack Obama is accompanied by a muscular man in a wig. He ends his scribe by advocating for Christians to unite globally and boycott the Olympics and its sponsors. And friends, the outcry against the Paris Olympics has been felt globally, with Christians in France taking to the streets to defend Jesus Christ of Nazareth and their Christian faith from what are very clearly Jewish attacks against Christendom. It's our understanding that at least one of the producers of the Paris Olympics is a gay Jew. They love to mock the Lord Jesus Christ. And as I mentioned, Google is now once again trying to rig the 2024 election by filtering out any search results regarding the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th. Facebook and Instagram are now doing similar things. Here's Elon Musk about the censorship and Google.
There's currently a massive amount of hidden censorship that is done by Google and by, frankly, also by Facebook and Instagram, and so people have no idea about this. And by the way, the Google censorship might be the most pernicious because it's very easy for them to just nudge a link onto the second page, and there's that old joke of what's the best place to hide a dead body? Well, it's the second page of Google search results because nobody ever looks there. So that's pretty important to say, hey, did Google nudge a search result to the second page? Because that'll drop how many people see it by a factor of 10 or more, maybe 100. So there's a whole bunch of that happening. It's very subtle, and so you can't. It's much harder to detect than say an account suspension.
Google is Illuminati. Google is election theft. Google is pure evil. Facebook and Instagram are now also censoring Trump raising his fist after being shot, that iconic picture, perhaps one of the greatest pictures ever captured in terms of American politics. And there's only one reason they would do this, notes DC Drano. It's the most powerful image of Trump in American history, and it will define his 2024 campaign victory. Breaking, Facebook is now censoring the iconic image of Trump's defiant fist raised in the air after the assassination attempt against him on Saturday, July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. More election rigging, more shadow government in the wide open, fixing our elections, just as was done in Venezuela. By the way, last night, Maduro stole the election in a way that was even more obvious than how Joe Biden did it, but with similar impact and similar strategy. Even world leaders are calling out Maduro for this obvious election theft. Argentine President Javier Milei has issued a statement confirming that Venezuela's socialist president Nicolas Maduro has lost the election and that Argentina will not recognize another fraudulent election. People around the world are waking up and they're choosing nationalism over communism. They're choosing patriotism over Marxism. They're choosing sanity and common sense over the evil of the trans agenda and the satanic New World Order. And this was just one of many polling stations that erupted in cheers after the election official announced that Socialist President Maduro received 0 votes at that voting center. Does that remind you just a little bit of Joe Biden in the 2020 election? They have to steal it. That's the only way they can seize power. And that's exactly what Maduro did last night. He rolled out the military, he closed down the polling stations, he stopped the vote count, and he declared victory. And again, we'll round out the conversation by coming full circle. Maxwell Urich used the name Thomas Matthew Crooks on Steam. Urich, age 37 from Pittsburgh, is pro-Antifa, a volunteer soldier in Ukraine and Syria who returned to the United States in April. Clearly, this man is on the government's radar. Nobody gets to be a volunteer soldier as an American in Ukraine without being on the CIA and the US government's radar. His Facebook name was Max Swell. All of Urich's social media accounts were deleted early Monday. His photo matches the deceased on the roof as well. Moles on his right neck and ear are identical. So who's lying? The FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, or both? Friends, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. And I'll remind you every single day for free, check us out to get the real news, the antidote to corporate propaganda, 24/7 at sgtreport.com. God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. He said, bye-bye. I'm back. The dogs had their fun. The delivery guy didn't have any fun. Sorry. But hey, you kind of just you know what you're driving into. You drive in here at least once a month, every month, and you have to kind of do it. So, but he made the first delivery now. So I got 275 gallons being pumped in right now. Yeah, he's gone. So I shouldn't have to step away again, other than to play a 3-minute video so that I have time to run out and turn off the thing, turn off the pump so that it doesn't burn up. Yeah. No. He's already gotten a pup. He's already gotten a pup. He got one of Cuvier's pups about 2 years ago. She's a big girl that he's got. Big girl, as big as Gabriel. She's one of the larger females that we've had come out. So, yeah. And she's a pure white as well. So she was from Gabriel's first put out litter. Yeah. All right. Surprise. FBI declassifies 950 pages on suspected Fed front group, Patriot Front. Nearly every page is fully redacted. The FBI declassified 2 packages of documents on the suspected federal front group, Patriot Front, on Monday. Here is part 1. And the disclaimers, the FBI's FOIA library contains many files of public interest and historical value in compliance with the National Archives and Records Administration requirements. Some of these records are no longer in the physical possession of the FBI, eliminating the FBI's capability to re-review or reprocess this material. Please note that the information found in these files may no longer reflect the current beliefs, positions, opinions, and policies currently held by the FBI. Basically, they redacted the majority of all the information. So all you got is who requested it and stuff like that. But all the key points in this have been eliminated. To me, that is kind of not even worth having put it out because of the fact that you give us absolutely no information to the information that we want. We're talking about entire pages, completely redacted from top to bottom, including the dates. Yeah. So let's just give everybody an idea on that. So the Gateway Pundit has reported on this suspect federal front group numerous times over the past 3 years, which is true. They have they've covered them quite a bit. This should come as no surprise to the Gateway Pundit readers that the empty Patriot Front documents. As the Gateway Pundit previously reported, charges were dropped against the Patriot Front group leader in Idaho after 22 duped recruits were found guilty in court. In June 2022, 31 members of Patriot Front group were arrested in Ohio for planning a protest at the Gay Pride rally. They were traveling to a Gay Pride event with homemade shields in the back of a U-Haul. They had no other weapons. And these are their faces. Does this guy look familiar? Yeah, that's the guy that was the leader. 31 members of the front group were arrested. Yeah, we just covered that. Law enforcement in Idaho admitted they had informants inside the Patriot Front group before the arrests were made. Since the Patriot Front group first appeared, Gateway Pundit always suspected they had links to the feds. They were convinced federal agents infiltrated the group. The group founder, Thomas Rosa, first made Rosa. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. It's a French name. So first made headlines in 2017 when he participated in the famous Tiki Torch March in Charlottesville, Virginia. Now he's the leader of the Patriot Front. Seems kind of suspicious. Patriot Front was later organized by Thomas, whatever the hell his name is, in the immediate aftermath of the 2017 Unite the Right march in Charlottesville, Virginia. This young man has been previously arrested, as noted below. The FBI is notorious for taking individuals who have been arrested and then through threats, the agency persuades them to work with the FBI as informants. Yeah, so these are the three. On August 2nd, 2020, 3 men were arrested. Yeah, I just told you to get away from her. Arrested in Weatherford, Texas, after plastering stickers all over Parker County signs and property, the courthouse lawn, and around Heritage Park. The charge was criminal mischief. The suspects included Cameron Cathan Pruitt, 21, of Midway, Utah, Thomas Ryan Rosau. It's probably messed up his name, but I don't care. 21 from Grapevine, Texas, and Graham Jones Whitson, 29 from Grapevine, Texas, all admitted guilt to sheriff's deputy. They were sentenced to fines and released on bond. And that just goes into more information about them, but it doesn't tell us anything. All right, Ted Cruz had some questions for the FBI. What is he? Okay, well, let's see. While total savage mode, Senator Cruz just ended the career of disgraced Secret Service director on live TV. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rowe, thank you for being here. I agree with what you said at the outset, that the individual Secret Service agents demonstrated remarkable personal courage, putting their bodies in between the line of sight of the shooter and the president. That being said, the bravery of the line agents is quite different from the decisions of Secret Service leadership. Secret Service leadership committed catastrophic security failures. Indeed, the worst security failures for the Secret Service since 1981, since the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. It is incumbent upon this committee to determine why those security failures happened. Just after the shooting, Secret Service put out an official statement from your spokesperson that says there's an untrue assertion that a member of the former president's team requested additional security resources and that those were rebuffed. This is absolutely false. In fact, we added protective resources and technology and capabilities as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. Was this tweet accurate?
With respect to Butler, Pennsylvania, it is accurate, sir.
It is accurate that the Trump team had not asked for additional security and had not been rebuffed.
If you're talking about Butler, Pennsylvania, all assets requested were approved. If you're talking about the media reporting of assets requested, there were times when assets were unavailable and not able to be filled, and those gaps were staffed with state and local law enforcement tactical assets.
So I'm reading from the Washington Post, July 20th, 2024. Secret Service said to have denied requests for more security at Trump events. The opening paragraph, top officials of the U.S. Secret Service repeatedly denied requests for additional resources and personnel sought by Donald Trump's security detail in the 2 years leading up to his attempted assassination, according to 4 people familiar with the requests. Is that right, that repeatedly the Trump detail asked for more resources and repeatedly Secret Service leadership turned that down?
That is not accurate, Senator. Assets are requested. There's a process that is made. And
how many requests did the Trump team or the Trump detail ask for?
I can get you that number in a queue.
You don't know now.
So I can speak to the ones that reported in the Washington Post, and we can go through them if you like.
But you don't know how many requests there were.
In general, how many requests since 2021 that the former Trump detail has made a request for assets?
You've had 2 weeks. You had a spokesperson put something out that is false on its face. By the way, did you approve this statement when it went out?
I don't know if I did or didn't, Senator.
Has this spokesperson, is he still employed? Does he still have a job?
He is still employed, Senator.
So he lied on behalf of the Secret Service. He still has a job. Did your predecessor, the former director, does she approve this statement?
Senator, our comms team, they send out statements. They do deconflict them and they put them out.
Did she approve this statement?
I don't know if she did or did not, Senator.
And you don't know if you did either?
I don't recall approving it, Senator.
Will you commit to provide this committee in writing every written request for additional resources from the Trump campaign or the Trump detail and every response from Secret Service?
Senator, I will commit to providing responses and getting you the information that you are seeking.
Let me ask you something. And who makes the decision to deny those requests? Did you make that decision?
Which requests? Are you talking about the ones that were in the Washington Post?
Yes.
So the process, sir, is that a detail will make a request for either staffing, technical assets, that is handled between the field office and the detail. It goes up to a logistics office between our.
Okay, so there's a bureaucracy. Is there a decision maker?
It's not a bureaucracy, Senator.
Give me the person that's the decision maker. Is there one?
Senator, it's a conversation. It's not just an absolute yay or nay.
So let me tell you what I believe. I believe that the Secret Service leadership made a political decision to deny these requests. And I think the Biden administration has been suffused with partisan politics. Did the same person who denied the request for additional security to President Trump also repeatedly deny the request for security to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose father was murdered by an assassin and whose uncle was murdered by an assassin? Did the same person make that decision?
Senator, what I will tell you is that Secret Service agents are not political.
Okay, you're not answering my question. But you know what? Leadership appointed by the president, leadership appointed by the president is political. I have a simple question, yes or no. Did the same person deny the Trump request that also denied the RFK request? That's a yes or no question.
Senator, that is not a yes or no question. One, There's a process for a candidate nominee to receive protection.
Does the buck stop anywhere? Does the buck stop anywhere?
Bipartisan process that the Hill
It's a bicameral, bipartisan process. What
for
cameral?
a candidate.
You are not a Congress. You don't have a cameral.
Mr. Kennedy submitted a request that was referred over to the CPAC.
Okay, you're refusing to answer the question. Let me ask, because the failures on that day were catastrophic. By the way, is it true that on the day of the Butler event that Secret Service transferred agent from President Trump to the First Lady?
No, sir, that's not true.
That's been widely reported.
It's not true. There was one airport agent that actually went on the manpower request for the Trump detail. They handled the arrival at the airport.
What was the
and
relative size of the Trump detail compared to the detail that is assigned to the President or the First Lady?
Senator, the former president travels with a full shift, just like the president.
What's so the exact same size? Is that your testimony that President Trump had the same size detail that President Biden has?
On the day of in Butler, the agents surrounding him, it is the same number of agents surrounding the president today. There is a difference between a sitting president who also not only
Hold on, you're using president in a way that is not clear. Is it your testimony that in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump had the same number of agents protecting him that Joe Biden has at a comparable event?
I'm telling you the shift, the close protection shift surrounding.
That's a yes
what
or
you
no.
asked me, Senator, and I'm trying to answer it.
You are not answering it. Is it the same number of agents or not?
Senator, there is a difference between the sitting president of the United States.
Then what's the difference?
The difference?
2x, 3x, 5x,
National
10x?
Command Authority to launch a nuclear strike. Sir,
I'm not
other assets.
How many more
travel
agents?
with the president that
Sir,
the former president will
you are
not get.
refusing to
but
answer
the number
straight.
of Secret Service
Sir,
agents
stop interrupting.
protecting him.
Stop interrupting me.
Go ahead,
You
Senator.
are refusing to answer clear and direct questions. I am asking the relative difference in the number of agents between those assigned to Donald Trump and those assigned to Joe Biden. I'm not asking why you assign more to Joe Biden. I'm asking, is the difference, is it 2x? Is it 3x? Is it 5x? Is it 10x?
Senator, I will get you that number so you can see it with your own eyes.
Seemed to me a whole lot of dancing around. I'm surprised. I didn't know the Secret Service had,
Thank you, Mr.
had
Chairman.
time to learn how to dance. You know what I mean? Because they're always protecting somebody, so they shouldn't have time to dance. But this guy's doing a lot of dancing around questions, dancing around the answers that the American people deserve, especially seeing that we pay your fucking salary. All right. Moving on. James O'Keefe, here we go.
A verdict has just been issued in federal court in the case of Project Veritas suing me, asking the court to issue a preliminary injunction against me. The federal judge just now issuing a directed verdict against Project Veritas and in my favor. Yesterday, I was asked to do a deal. There was a deal on the table to limit my speech. I said no. They immediately called me to testify. I testified for a couple hours, and just now, ruling in our favor. It remains unclear why Project Veritas is continuing on, why they're using donor resources to shut me up and shut me down. But I will never be shut up or shut down. I will not agree to any deal that restricts my First Amendment rights. We have won today, and we're releasing a story inside the DNC this afternoon. A verdict has just been issued.
So I'll be bringing you that story that's coming up here very soon because my list is not huge today. So I'm actually glad that I got to play those extra couple of videos for you guys because they're probably covering their, giving their viewpoints as to what's going on today, what's coming up with the election and stuff like that. And the guy with Melissa, I thought that his message was, I can't believe that that's still up there. Dang nabbit. I forgot to switch back to my X feed. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Let's, here we go.
Kamala Harris on RuPaul's Drag Race. Y'all are like little fish, all right? Y'all just go for the bait every single time. You know, she panders to the gay community, and y'all just, boom, out of desperation, latch onto that shit and run with it. And y'all like, yes, queen, yes, no, bitch. No, I'm not impressed that you continue to pander to marginalized communities to try to scrape together some votes. I'll just continuously fall for it. Sexuality, color of your skin, race, sex. I'm a woman. As a gay man, I don't give a fuck that you're sitting on this couch on RuPaul's Drag Race surrounded by people. I really don't know who these people are. I'm more concerned at the fact that there was Russian, Chinese air bombers that had to be intercepted over Alaska. Y'all should be more concerned about that. I don't care that you're on RuPaul. It's almost insulting, you know, more like backhanded representation that you think my vote as a gay man is minimized to you hopping onto RuPaul, making an appearance, and you think that's going to sway my vote, as opposed to me having some type of critical thinking skills and you coming to the table with some policies that I actually align with. I understand that that's her target voter, right? But I also understand that they are taking this false narrative that they've made about another candidate saying that they're going to strip LGBTQ members completely of their rights, send them to these camps. Like, where do you guys come up with this stuff? Last time I checked, when he was in office before, I had all the rights that I have today, just for more money in my pockets, or less of a gap between wage and inflation so I could actually afford the cost of living. Yeah, no, not impressed by these tactics. And not to mention, to world leaders, we must look real intimidating and strong, you know, Kamala being on Drag Race. Anyways, you guys let me know how you feel about this in the comments. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one.
All right. Yeah. Different viewpoints. Got to hear them, right? Want to hear what they got to say. You know, because as we make informed decisions, they are now being informed and learning everything that they can and recognizing what's going on around them. And the thing is it is our pleasure to share their awakening time with people. Okay, because we've already gone through most of that. You know, these other communities haven't yet. You know, so as these communities are learning about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, and beginning to stand up for themselves, we see this drastic change. We saw it. You know, we saw it with Conservative Ant. We saw it with other people and stuff. So that's why I share this stuff. You know, is not because I'm promoting them or anything else. What I'm doing is I'm saying, you know, look at the effect that the truth has on these communities, and we're watching people grow. They're getting their voices. They're researching, and they're coming forth with fruitful information, and that's what we want to see. So, Camel Carl, how you doing, brother? Hope you're doing all right, man. Okay, Libs of TikTok says, "Hi, FBI. This person is threatening to kill Republicans," and this is the post here. Jason O'Toole, poet. Says, "Hey, MAGA, let me be clear. Mess with queer kids, immigrants, Muslims, BLM, and the left, or whoever you fear today, and you mess with me. I might not be the toughest guy in the world, but I'm undefeated in gunfights. Have you been put to the test?" Well, actually, yeah. I've been shot. I've been stabbed a couple of times. You don't scare me. All right. And he continues on saying, "You hit a piece of paper at range or a deer that don't shoot back." Well, no, it's, you know, I didn't even have a weapon at the time that I got shot or stabbed. However, I ended up with the weapon before it was done, which was just as good. But he says, "That's nice. Keep running your fucking mouths and making threats. I'm more than capable of answering every single one of them. And there's millions more old LEOs, vets, and normal fucking Americans like me. Fascists always lose." Well, this is the problem, is that that star that you wear on your chest don't mean shit. You just proved that that star on your chest don't mean shit. And I hope that that child does not grow up to be as stupid as you. Sheriff. Yeah. Doesn't understand what constitutional rights are. You know. All right. Something fishy is going on with Kamala Harris, and Joe Rogan can smell it. He's baffled by how Kamala Harris went from being the least popular vice president of all time to a celebrated hero. Well, let's take a listen.
It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. You know, that so everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. So, they've been doing this live for years. So in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate. And if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate, she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders. That wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out. Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast the pig. Just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either. They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
Yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. So she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. All those things you want.
But
and yeah, you don't want her.
Because she's not for war.
Yes.
'Cause
Well,
she's not
she's
for war
also
mission.
just not willing to play ball. There's a game that's being played. And if you're like, hey, you're not supposed to fucking move the ball. Like, oh, look at this bitch over here. Like, get out of here. You're going to fuck up our game. It's not real democracy. It's controlled parties.
You know, we've been watching Joe's awakening for a while. Yeah. We have been. Yeah. All right. Sean Fouchette. I think I said that right. Her dad was in a coma during her first Let Us Worship event, and they wanted to let him die. We prayed for her, and then God did a miracle. Here we go.
So we were in Great Falls when you guys came, and I would like to thank you for your team because we were there because my dad was a victim and they wanted to give us a but the hospice came and chased them out of the room with the room. But we came down and your prayer team came and prayed over us. Prayed over my dad and the other bracelet.
Wow.
He had a hemorrhagic stroke. And both sides of his brain was bleeding. So today, he was in the audience.
Wow.
He's alive.
Come on. Wow.
I just want to say thank you.
Wow.
That's so cool. They went down, they prayed over him, and he woke up. Freaking awesome. You got to love it. You got to love it. Our God is so powerful. It's ridiculous. Our Creator has the ability to do anything. Anything. You know. All right. So I don't know where this conversation about nuclear and all that stuff is coming from, where it's going, but this is what I'm going to say is don't be promoting fear. Just seriously. Why would you even do that? Why would you want to do that? We try to keep a positive, a positive outlook on our future, because that's the way it's got to be. So I don't know where it started, but let's just go ahead and stop it. All right, let's go ahead and stop it right now. There's no need for that. Why don't push fear in my chat, wherever it's coming from. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, he's, Yeshua, he's my bomb shelter. Okay? It's that simple. He's my bomb shelter. It doesn't matter if my physical form goes, because I know where I'm going to spend eternity, and I'm okay with that. So take your fear and shove it up your ass. Okay? Pretty simple. And that's not cursing you. That's telling you where to put it. Michael, is there something going on with you? Seriously, is there something going on with you? Really, seriously. You say you're staying on the battlefield because I clipped out 15 seconds of a fucking video? Dude, get the fuck out of my chat. Get out. Get out. I'm not even going to deal with you. Fuck you. Go on. Get out. There you go. I helped you out the fucking door. I don't care how long you... Listen, guys. This comes from somebody who doesn't have a fucking channel, who doesn't put content together, who doesn't present anything. I got rid of one yesterday that every time she came into chat, it was just arguing with everybody. If it wasn't with one person, it was with another person or another person. And it's like, yeah, I got no time for that. I got no time for it. You don't like what I'm doing. You don't appreciate the time that I spend doing what I'm doing, then go someplace else. Go make your own channel. Get censored as many times as I have, lose as many channels as I have, buy as many phones as I have, okay? And then you can come and talk shit. In the meantime, go fuck yourself. All right, Colin Rugg says, new far-left MSNBC contributor Molly Jong Fast has apparently locked her X account after getting obliterated for saying J.D. Vance only wants white children in America. Here we go.
Stats are there. More and more Americans choosing not to have kids, which again emphasizes why J.D. Vance's comments about childless Americans, childless cat ladies, could be so politically damaging.
Well, so what's interesting is this natalism that comes from an authoritarian playbook, right? That there need to be more white children, right? That's the idea that there's, this is about great replacement theory, racism, right? This is what this is. So don't misunderstand it for him wanting more children. He wants a certain kind of, racist thing.
Stats are there. More and more Americans choosing not to have kids, which again emphasize.
So basically, yeah, I can see why. For those who don't know, Vance's own children are biracial. So, which is true. His wife is, dang nabbit. Dang it. See, now I can't remember. She's, I think she's of Indian descent. If I'm not mistaken, is she India? Okay, I thought so, Shruti. Thank you. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. All right. Ian Carroll says, in case you missed it, our greatest ally is currently dealing with mass protests against punishing IDF soldiers for raping Gazan prisoners. And Israeli politicians are making arguments for why Israeli law is perfectly okay in stating that non-Jews aren't full humans, so raping them is okay. This is in their own media, in their own words. This is real. Evil Israel. All right. Shared values. Everything is legitimate. Israeli lawmaker justifies rape of Palestinian prisoners. Ridiculous. Yep. Yeah. See, this is the thing. So let's think about it. Elohim is what Saul called God back in the day, and that's what Samuel, his prophet, the prophet of that time, called him when he both anointed Saul and then later anointed David. That when God sent them out to destroy a people, he didn't do it in the way of how do I put this? He didn't do it in a way for them to go out and cause just temporary physical harm to them or mental harm to them. He sent them out to slaughter. When he sent them out after Adamites, then he sent them out to destroy the Adamites completely. Okay. It was, and what did Saul do? Saul kept the king alive and brought him back to the city, along with all their livestock and stuff like that, brought it all back to his palace. Saul, went against everything that God said. God said, from the youngest to the oldest, kill them all, slaughter their cattle, their sheep, their goats, their livestock, and even their horses. Destroy everything. Okay. So there was not to be a trace left of them. And then Samuel came and confronted Saul and said, you were told to kill all of them, but I see prisoners outside and I see the king on his knees before you. And what ended up happening was Saul stood up and he had his sword in his hand sheathed, and Saul or Samuel grabbed that sword out of the sheath, backed up, walked over to the king and chopped the king's head off. Now, Saul was telling him, well, we were brokering a deal. There was going to be a ransom. So Saul was looking at it saying, well, we're going to get rich because of this, because we're going to own all their wealth. And God said the greatest wealth is the removal of this particular tribe because of the evil that they've done. They were known for cannibalism. That was what they were known for. They were known for cannibalism. So basically, the way when God works it's not working, to give any of your soldiers pleasure. It's about fulfilling what God wanted, and that was it. Now Saul got pissed off at Samuel for killing him because he knew the wealth that he was about to gain, and he grabbed Samuel by the coat, and Samuel pulled away, and it tore the garment. And that's when Samuel said to him, "As you have disobeyed Elohim, Elohim will replace you with another." And Saul said to him, "I am king." And Samuel said, basically, "Not for long, pal. Not for long." And he was right. 3 years later, he was dead. Or was it 13 years? I'm sorry, 13 years later. Because David was 20 when he slayed Goliath, or somewhere between 18 to 20 when he slayed Goliath. So, just weeks later, Saul is anointing David to be the next king. Now David didn't want the throne unless Saul died, because he believed that once you're anointed to be king, then you're king until God takes you, but it's many names, many names. But Melchizedek, one of the three wise men that went to see Jesus as a baby, he said that there's one God, and that either the God, the names that other tribes called him by were parts of him, or they were made in vain. So is Elohim a proper? I don't think so. I don't think that that's proper. I believe that that was done through translation. So, but we'll find out, because we're finding out more and more about the stuff that's been done to the Bible. So, and we'll learn more. So this is meanwhile in Latvia. You think it's snow, but it's not. God is seriously pissed. So this is not snow. You're going to see. Whoop! What happened? Why did that do that? I hate it when it jumps like that. Boy, did it jump too. There we go.
Tie kukaiņi. Pilns miljoniem kukaiņi. Tā kā visa zeme ir kā ar sniegu. Tu sāk slīdēt. Šiem kukaiņiem sāk slīdēt. Jānodars tās viendienīgas. Upes ir izlidījušas. Šeit ir vienkārši māja prāts. Es nevaru atstāt un izrakties. Ir slānis tāds.
It's almost like millions upon millions of small feathers. It's kind of, or shavings. It's kind of weird. Yeah. This was yesterday. Breaking footage has emerged of the aftermath of a major train derailment in Iowa. The incident is still under investigation, and no cause has been given at the moment. Does it say what town? Glidden. No hazardous material on this one, which is good. But at the same time, it makes you wonder. Generally when you see something like this, you could think, okay, yeah, that's a pretty bad train accident. Good thing is there are no passenger cars or anything like that. And there are no chemical tanks or anything like that on there. The question is the destruction of the rail prevents cargo from being shipped, correct? Right? Or prevents large military trains from going through. Just looking at this with a military perspective, okay, tells me that I think there's something more to this. We're talking Iowa, through the heartland, in the heartland of America. So it's either food, stopping food from being transported, maybe possibly human trafficking possibly could have been going on, you know. But the other question is, if something had been scheduled to go on this track at a later time, and this was the only way that they think that they could have stopped it. So now that train can't move forward. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen the transports with all the tanks and troop transport vehicles and everything else. You know, over the last couple of years, we've been seeing, you know, hundreds and hundreds of videos doing that. You know, and the cleanup time for this would probably be about 2 weeks. Repair on the tracks itself about another week to a week and a half. So basically, they shut down that railway for about 3 weeks with that accident. So, and probably messed up somebody's Amazon deliveries because that looked like one of those cars looked like it was completely packed with boxes, you know, mail, you know, stuff you get from like Amazon and stuff like that. So, you know. All right, Maduro's National Guard flees the National Electoral Council building after burning their armored vehicles. The Venezuelan resistance is rapidly growing, and it is. They have all kinds of equipment and everything there. We already saw Kennedy yesterday. This is a double murder suspect, and 2 others were arrested after ramming 2 Dallas police cruisers with a stolen GMC Tahoe. 17-year-old Eric Lampkin Scarborough, 21-year-old Damon Price, and 19-year-old Dante Moore were arrested. A 4th suspect got away. Moore was wanted for 2 counts of capital murder related to the deaths of 2 18-year-olds on Dixon Avenue in March. He's being held in the Dallas County Jail on $1.5 million bond. Police shot Eric Lampkin Scarborough, who is now in stable condition in the hospital. Police recover several stolen guns, including one with a Glock switch and an extended magazine. And this is the accident here.
Oh, shit! God damn it! You good? Get out! Fuck your shit! Get out! That's a oh, shit! God damn it! You good? Get out! You got God! You got! Somebody drop the gun! Drop the gun! Fucking shit! Don't you fucking move! Get on the ground now! One in gunpoint! West, southwest corner! You fucking hit! God damn it. You're good. Y'all check the one in the front. What'd you say, brother? Ambulance is coming here as hot as it can, okay? Yeah, there's a wound right here and a wound right here, but I don't see any exit wounds. I think it's... You think we went through? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. That was put out by Unlimited L's. These are some of the teachers who have been arrested for sex crimes with children in the last 2 months. We have a predator epidemic in our school system. And I want to make this big because I want these people to be famous. Yes, I do. These are all teachers who have been arrested for either having sex with students, promoting sex with students. Yep. All of them. All of them. Yep. All right. Moving on. We got let's see. Okay, we covered that. All right. Great Britain News host, or GB, Great Britain, the Breakfast News or something like that, host Iman Holmes vents his anger at out of control migrant crisis in the UK. Here we go.
Britain said she's scrapping the Rwanda deportation scheme, cracking down on migrant hotels, and that will save £8 billion pounds. So what do we do as a country now? Are we now sitting saying, okay, yeah, just keep getting these migrants in. Yeah, we'll pay for that somewhere. We haven't got any money set aside, but we'll find it from somewhere. 8 billion, yeah, stick you up in a hotel doing this. When is anybody going to stand up and say, anybody in authority, any top people I'm talking about, because ordinary people believe this is out of control. We can't solve the world's problems. We can't sit and say, come to us. We're seeing the reaction in Ireland there is to this at the moment. And this just is unbelievable that we are forced to spend all this money on people that shouldn't be here.
Well, it's an extraordinary amount of money, but I don't see how Labour has a plan to deal with it. You know, it's all very well pointing the finger and saying that the Conservatives spent all this money on hotels. But if their plan is simply to process people more quickly, that implies
staying in the meantime.
Well, exactly. They have to stay somewhere in the meantime. But also, if they're accepted at the current rate, I mean, the rate of acceptance has gone up considerably in the last 10 years. About 70%. It used to be only 10 years ago, it was about 30%. So something has changed there.
Yeah. So basically, if you apply for solace in Britain or whatever it is, there's a 70% chance you'll be granted.
Yeah, essentially. And so if are you going to, does that mean that people are going to be shifted from hotels to social housing? Is that actually solving the problem?
That's cost in itself.
Exactly. All of these things cost money, and we know that the Labour Party is not serious about reforming the migration system. It's committed to our place in European Convention of Human Rights, for instance, which a lot of people think is a barrier to deporting people who shouldn't be here, including criminals who shouldn't be here, let alone people who just simply have failed their asylum application. It does seem that problem is set to continue, that it's not something that they're going to take seriously. They've highlighted the cost, but what is their solution to the problem? That remains to be seen.
Okay, we're taking it seriously this morning. We're going to have you back again. We'll talk about this again. We want to know what people think about this. If you have your say on the programme today, how would you save that money? We're looking at what the Chancellor is chopping, but there is a black hole in UK finances. Pensioners are being hit again. No fuel allowance now for most pensioners. If you own property, if you run a business, you're going to be hammered, right?
Yes, and a better way to discourage people from starting a business, right? Yeah. So the Bengals released a statement after Kamala supporters started sharing fake reports that quarterback Joe Burrow was on the White Dudes for Harris call. Account Kamala's wins, known for frequently sharing misinformation with one of the accounts that made the false claim. The Bengals confirmed to WLWT Tuesday morning that Joe Burrow was not on the fundraising call. Burrow was seen speaking with Trump at a UFC event earlier this year. So, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Senator Rand Paul, 18 days ago, a would-be assassin was able to climb a roof 400 feet away from the stage where the former president and leading presidential candidate Donald Trump was speaking. Grave mistakes were made on July 13th.
18 days ago, a would-be assassin managed to climb onto a roof 400 feet from the stage where the former president and leading presidential candidate Donald Trump was speaking. The assassin's bullet struck President Trump, narrowly missing a fatal blow thanks to a last-minute head turn. Tragically, not everyone was so fortunate. A beloved husband and father in the audience was killed, his life stolen in an instant. 2 others remain seriously injured, their futures uncertain. The lives of law enforcement officers working the event and those in the audience have been forever changed. Yet the media has shamefully moved on to other stories and Google has been caught trying to suppress iconic images of a bloody Donald Trump, images showcasing the resolve of our nation in the face of the attack. But the American people have not forgotten, and we will not forget. There is no question that this was a monumental failure by the Secret Service. They had one job and they failed. We know that. What remains unclear is who specifically failed, how they failed, and what must be done to ensure that something like this never happens again. America deserves to know that those responsible for this failure are frankly not going to be in charge of securing the upcoming Democrat National Convention. We need to know that someone's been placed on suspension, that someone won't be in charge of the next Donald Trump rally. Now, I was encouraged to hear that the acting director, Rowe, has initiated a disciplinary investigation in addition to the ongoing Secret Service policy review. This is an important step. However, real accountability will require a comprehensive examination of all the facts, which still remain unclear. This past Friday, my investigative team went to Pennsylvania to meet with local law enforcement and document the scene. One of the concerning things my team was told is that no one from Secret Service has talked to them since the shooting. I don't know how an investigation into what failed can be conducted without talking to the officers and agencies who were relied upon to do much of the work. Many questions remain unanswered about the planning and performance of security for July 13th. While a host of errors led to this security disaster, we now know local enforcement officers were suspicious of the shooter 90 minutes in advance of the shooting. There are two glaring issues we need to focus on. First, why were the AGR grounds and the roof left unattended? Why was the AGR building, the shooter's perch, left outside the perimeter? Local law enforcement told my staff that they specifically flagged the vulnerability of the building to the Secret Service and were told that it would be taken care of. Clearly, these vulnerabilities were not addressed. Second, why was Donald Trump allowed to take the stage, and why wasn't he removed from the stage when a suspicious individual was taking increasingly suspicious activities? Over 20 minutes before President Trump began his speech, the Secret Service Command Center had been made aware of an individual with a rangefinder. At least 10 minutes before it was confirmed, the Secret Service's counter-sniper team had been made aware of the suspicious subject and provided a photograph and a detailed description. Why was the event not delayed until the individual was found and checked out? Interviews with local paint a different picture in critical places from what we have been told by the Secret Service in other briefings. Now we need to hear from the Secret Service agents responsible for security that day. Our committee has formally requested interviews with those agents, but we have not yet been allowed to speak to them. I expect Director Rowe today to tell us when we will be allowed to talk to these people. Finally, let me close with this. Mistakes, grave mistakes were made on July 13th, but that does not take away from the bravery of dozens of federal, state, and local officers that day. We are grateful for their sacrifices and professionalism. They deserve the truth now also. It is our duty and our utmost responsibility to ensure that we learn from this failure and hold those responsible accountable.
Yep. So it's coming at them from all sides, all sides. All right. Watch today following the Senate Judiciary Committee on the attempted assassination of President Trump. Laura Loomer confronted acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe Jr. about why the FBI and Secret Service are lying about come on, get out of the way. Lying about why the FBI and the Secret Service are lying about the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, having social media accounts with anti-immigrant rhetoric when Gab founder Andrew Torba provided evidence that the shooter's posts were pro-illegal immigration and pro-Joe Biden. It's a good question. It's a good question. Fair question. The older millennial says term limits for Supreme Court would defeat the point of, well, this is the reason that he responded. I'm seriously asking both sides, who's against term limits? Who's against a code of ethics for the highest court? And who's against rules that prevent presidents from being above the law? And why? Be specific. Well, older millennial says term limits for Supreme Court would defeat the point of the Supreme Court. They don't have term limits because they're representatives of the Constitution, not the wavering will of the populace. If they changed with the election cycle, they would simply be another political tool. Learn civics. Yep, exactly. You don't hate the Paris Olympics enough. Here we go.
There's a literal convicted child rapist competing in the Olympics and they're giving him special treatment. I don't know why anyone's not talking about it. It's not like alleged. And even if it were alleged, they would be like, oh, maybe you know what? We shouldn't have him in. No, convicted, spent a year in prison, a 12-year-old, openly admits it on the stand. Is like, yeah, I did it. I flew out that morning, had sex with her, and then left. He doesn't have to stay with any of the other athletes. He doesn't have to do any media. He gets to go in a separate entrance. He gets to leave a separate entrance. This is him. He plays volleyball. After everything with Larry Nassar, after all of the women coming forward, after everyone on the Olympic committee saying that they're going to protect athletes, what the fuck is this? There's literally an Olympian as young as 11 years old here. Why is he allowed to compete? What the fuck? There's a
Yep. Many questions about many things. Slot on. Here we go.
So today, Iowa put in place a Trump abortion ban, which makes Iowa the 22nd state in our country to have a Trump.
If I can't hear it, you can't hear it. So we're going to have to bypass that one. All right. Concerned citizen. It will keep happening and it will keep getting worse, all by design. Rape hell. A schoolgirl, 16, gang raped and killed by 4 migrants who dumped her on a building site to die an agonizing death. That was put out by The Sun. Crazy. UN Human Rights Council finds Israel guilty of war crimes.
In relation to Israel's military operations and attacks in Gaza from 7th October, we conclude that Israeli authorities are responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, including extermination, intentionally directing attacks against civilians and civilian objects, murder or willful killing, using starvation as a method of war, forcible transfer, gender persecution targeting Palestinian men and boys, sexual and gender-based violence amounting to torture, and cruel or inhuman treatment. Israel's total siege of the Gaza Strip has weaponized the provision of life-sustaining necessities for strategic and political gains, including through cutting off supplies of water, food, electricity, fuel, and other essential supplies, including humanitarian assistance. It constitutes collective punishment, disproportionately impacting pregnant women and persons with disabilities, and is causing grave harm to children, including starvation-related deaths. We found that the immense numbers of civilian casualties in Gaza and widespread destruction of civilian objects and infrastructure were the inevitable result of an intentional strategy to cause maximum damage, disregarding the legal obligations of distinction, proportionality, and adequate precautions. Israel also forcibly transferred almost the entire population into small enclosures that are unsafe and uninhabitable. The deliberate use of heavy weapons with large destructive capacity in densely populated areas constitutes an intentional and direct attack on the civilian.
Yeah. Isn't that something, right? Yep. That's the UN Human Rights Council there that spoke that. Yeah. Something else, huh? Absolutely. All right. Let's see. We already seen Ted Cruz. Okay, here we go.
Director Rowe, can you explain why the shooter's drone worked?
Because there was no counter UAS present, sir.
Well, you had a drone system, but you had bandwidth problems. The bandwidth apparently was adequate for the shooter's drone, but not for the Secret Service. Can you explain that?
I have no explanation for it, sir.
We also know that in the military context, electronic warfare or jamming capabilities are commonly used on the battlefield. Does the Secret Service have jamming capabilities for drones?
We have drones, sir, and when it comes to, I have to be very careful about how I answer this one in an open forum. What I can tell you is that we have technical security measures, sir, to address, I think, what you're asking me.
Well, the question is, can you take down a suspicious drone? Because this can be used not only for surveillance by the shooter, which obviously it was here, but also drones can be weaponized and be used as a threat to the president, or the in this case the President Trump. Do you have the capacity to stop a weaponized drone?
What I will tell you, sir, is that we have technical security measures that we utilize at permanently protected sites. We also have the ability in a limited fashion at temporary sites. What I can tell you is that on this day, the counter UAS system had technical difficulties and did not go operational until after 5 o'clock.
So in this case, the shooter had a rifle, but somebody who wanted to kill a president for a former president or candidate for president would not need a rifle. They could use a drone, correct?
It is a potential threat vector.
Interesting. Basically, this attack on the Supreme Court is a bunch of BS, but you already knew that. Here we go.
House press secretary at the White House moments ago on the president's plan to overhaul the Supreme Court. Watch this exchange.
The president himself on the campaign trail in 2020 said about term limits, presidents come and go, Supreme Court justices stay for generations. I'm not trying to change that at all. It was 2 different days he spoke to this. So how do we get there?
First of all, he appreciates the commission, appreciates the work that they've done. Their job was to give the president some thoughts and ideas, and obviously the president makes the final decision on how he wants to move forward. We have to look at what the Supreme Courts have done. Wait.
That was 2021.
You're not going to let me answer the question. I'm not done. Let me finish the question. In the past several weeks, the actions that the Supreme Court has taken in undermining democracy and the rule of law, that's important. The president felt he needed to address this.
I look forward to her.
Okay, there was even a lot more to that exchange. It was pretty remarkable. I was listening to it earlier during one of the commercial breaks. SCOTUS is not normal, she said. We need to rise to meet the moment for what SCOTUS did. It was pretty remarkable as we do see this White House pushing now for reforming of the Supreme Court.
Well, we do know that nothing's going to happen before Biden leaves office. We'll see what happens after the November election on that front. But don't forget that it takes a constitutional amendment to make a couple of the changes, or at least one of them that Biden's looking at. And I doubt, given the politics of the nation, that you're going to get a constitutional amendment on the Supreme Court through.
A very revealing exchange there. We'll likely hear more about that, John.
It was. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Former employees of Mr. Beast are now exposing everything since the underage child text messaging scandal came out. This video is wild. Allegedly, almost everything Mr. Beast is fake videos, illegal lotteries, fake winners, fake prizes. Ooh, let's go. Here we go.
Have you ever faked a video?
No. But this train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this island costs more than $1, this city is not abandoned, these buildings are CGI, and that's your only way out. You can literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker, it's just a guy. This whole room is fake, this contestant is an actor and a secret employee at Mr. Beast. They have got through this fake door twice, this line is scripted, this action is scripted. In fact, pretty much all the videos with Mac are scripted.
Talks about Mr. Beast doing illegal lotteries, constantly relies on that classical conditioning to make kids think that, oh my gosh, if I watch Mr. Beast, then I'm going to get a car. Oh my gosh, if I watch Mr. Beast, then my life is going to change. Talks about how Mr. Beast will have people on the team fake signatures saying MB and send that out, and people think that it's really from Mr. Beast when it's really just from another team member copying his. Every single video with Mac is completely scripted, and that Mr. Beast never changed his life. Matt already moved to California, $1 million mansion, but Mr. Beast made it seem like in his videos that his videos changed his life. And there are so many illegal lotteries that he has ran because he makes you think that you have a chance, but you never have a chance. All the lotteries and everything that he's ever done, the winners are other big YouTubers and Mr. Beast employees. That's it. No random subscriber is ever winning his challenges. You talk about how Feastables are a lie. Shows clips talking about how Feastables are so healthy. They're worse than Hershey's. Doing all of this false advertising, acting like these are good for you. They're up to 2 times the calorie amount of a normal chocolate bar that's not manufactured by Mr. Beast. And he talked about how Mr. Beast threw a temper tantrum for Keith Lee. Show how Mr. Beast's face completely changed as soon as Keith Lee was not going to give like a 10 out of 10. Mr. Beast literally threw candy bars across Keith Lee's house and getting very angry that Keith Lee wasn't automatically going to give him a 100%. This is amazing. And there's so much more he hasn't gotten to yet, including to how someone almost died at a Mr. Beast shoot, but he hasn't revealed that yet.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Mr. Beast just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Everything will be revealed. Yep. A failure of imagination, says Viva Frey. Here we go.
For the people in my state that keep asking me, I just don't get how he got on the roof. I know we've gone through great details and a lot of examination. Could you just give a minute on what went wrong and how you think it can be fixed? Because I think it's just going to help to dispel the conspiracy theories. There's some people that think it didn't really happen, which of course is completely ridiculous. It did. There are some people that think all kinds of conspiracies went on within the government, which is also false. But could you just tell them what went wrong so they understand?
No, thank you, Senator. I thought long and hard about this. I think this was a failure of imagination. A failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees. I think it was a failure to challenge our own assumptions. The assumptions that we know our partners are going to do everything they can, and they do this every day. But we didn't challenge our own assumptions of, we assume that someone's going to cover that. We assume that there's going to be uniform presence. We didn't challenge that internally during that. So moving forward, I've directed that when we're talking to people and we're making requests, we are very specific about what we want. We are providing explicit instructions on exactly what our expectation is and what we need them to do and what we want them to do. That's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward beyond this. And let me just tell you that our state and local law enforcement partners are the best. So this belief that somehow they are less than federal law enforcement or they're less than the Secret Service. They're out there patrolling communities every day. They're the ones out there going into hazardous conditions every day. They know their communities. They have the ability to enforce state and local laws. Our advanced agents do not.
Right.
We need them, and we need them to be partners with us. And I think we need to be very clear to them, and that may have contributed to this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Carl, I'm sorry to hear that. He says it's 93 here. What's he say? Where is it? It's 93 degrees here, and everything is moist and soggy with humidity. Feels like I'm drinking the air. Yeah, and hopefully you're not inhaling a whole bunch of metals and everything else from whatever was mixed with the rain, right? Yeah. clandestine. This exchange between Senator Mike Lee and acting U.S. Secret Service Director Rowe is mind-blowing. Here we go.
Why was President Trump allowed to take the stage at 6:02 p.m., exactly 17 minutes after multiple suspicious person reports were provided, complete with photos and information suggesting that the assailant had a rangefinder, something that ordinary people don't use in this kind of circumstance?
Senator, again, it was suspicion, not weapon, or there was never communication of that there was an individual with a gun or threat or other bad intentions.
How many suspicious person reports did you receive that day?
I'll get back to you on the exact number, but there were other individuals that came to the attention of law enforcement that day.
Would President Biden ever be allowed on stage under similar circumstances with an unresolved set of multiple suspicious person reports provided, including indicating that there was a rangefinder involved?
Senator, I can tell you that a suspicious person on the outer perimeter with local law enforcement attempting to locate would happen, but I would need more information as far as whether or not we would allow the president to go on or off. Again, for us, it comes down to weapon, a potential threat. Is the individual carrying an IED? Is there a weapon? Is there some other factor that now ramps up our attention to let's hold off on this?
If there were 8 shell casings found next to the assailant's body, but he was neutralized after the first shot, where did those other shots come from? Where did the other shots go?
As far as the assailant's shooting?
Yes. So did the assailant get out 8 shots, or were those shell casings left from the day before? Where did they come from?
The shooter, Senator, we believe fired 8 rounds. We had the shooting reconstruction team go out there for a period of days and collect all that. So we have bullet holes, bullet fragmentation, all taken back, and we're still putting together the trajectory and ballistic analysis, although we do have fragments of the bullets, and bullets have been collected in the distance from the shooter's weapon.
Gotcha. It's my understanding there was a sniper team assigned to a window with complete overlook, complete view of the roof, the same rooftop, sloped rooftop where the shots were fired. It's also my understanding, according to some whistleblower accounts, that post was abandoned. What can you tell me about that? Why was it abandoned?
So I saw that from the colonel's testimony, sir, and it's something that I've asked and our mission assurance is getting to the bottom of. And there were two-man counter sniper teams from the locals that were in that AGR building.
And so at some point they just left?
That I don't have an answer for you on that, Senator, but it seems to me that if even one of them left, there should have been remaining some additional eyes left in that building.
Yeah, that seems like something that maybe should be one of the very first questions you address. I'm actually surprised that you don't know that already, and I'd ask that you submit to us in writing what you learn as soon as you learn it. Will you commit to that?
Yes, sir.
What can you tell me about, let me just state this way. Multiple requests were made by Trump's protective detail and by Trump's campaign team to the Secret Service for additional resources. I'm told that those were denied. And as I recall, the Secret Service spokesperson initially denied that such requests were made and denied. Why not tell the truth from the outset? What were they trying to do there?
So, Senator, I don't think there was any intention to mislead.
Seems like a pretty material fact, doesn't it?
I saw that report. Go ahead, Senator.
Will you commit to me that you will submit to us in writing what requests were made by whom and to whom and when they were denied?
I will, sir.
Okay. Look, at the end of the day, we're looking at a situation in which, at a minimum, people knew that this guy had a gun at least 2 minutes before the shooting happened. I want to know what you can tell me about what happened during that final 2-minute period where a whole bunch of people in the crowd saw and were shouting, "He's got a gun." During that 2-minute period, perhaps at the beginning of it, the local police started to climb the rooftop, and there was at least 30 seconds after which local police were able to personally observe the shooter with a gun, had the gun pointed at him. What happened during that time period, and why on earth was President Trump not removed from the stage at that moment?
So again, Senator, the reason why President Trump was not removed was, again, we did not have anything more than locals working an issue at the 3 o'clock. Wasn't determined as to whether or not it was the same individual or not, and there was no report of
The same individual as what?
the same suspicious individual.
Right,
It was-
but we've left the category of suspicious individual at that point. You've got a guy with a gun on a rooftop 136 yards away from the stage. You know that he's got a gun at that point. What happened during that time period that did not result in President Trump, his protective detail being notified of that, and him immediately being removed from the situation?
Senator, what I will say, and then I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Abate. No information regarding a weapon on the roof was ever passed to our personnel.
How is that even possible? Do you want to comment to that?
Senator, again, I believe that information, and this is probably something my colleague can expound on, information that was in law enforcement, local law enforcement channels, but did not cross over and make it to Secret Service awareness.
Senator, just to clarify the timeline.
Now let's just make something clear here. There were people all around the stage that were Secret Service, okay? And there were viewers in the stands and standing in front of President Trump and to the sides that were all shouting, "Man with a gun, man with a gun, man with a gun." Are you telling me that Secret Service did not hear the American people screaming at the top of their lungs, "He's up on the roof, he's got a gun"?
The individual was first seen by law enforcement on the roof at about 6:08. We're still working to perfect the timeline based on the radio comms and all that. It wasn't until at 6:11:03 seconds, the officer saw him and called out his arm. That was the first sighting where he had the rifle on the roof. And then
And that was relayed to the Secret Service Command Center at that point.
My understanding is no, Secret Service, it was not relayed to them. It's a narrower time frame, though. It's probably about maybe up to half a minute between the time he's seen with the rifle and when the shots are fired.
But there's still time. At that point, if there were an open channel of communication in which they were able to tell him, he's got a gun, take him out. You could still take President Trump off stage. You could have him duck. You could have the shooter neutralized. Do you not have a channel of communication by which they can say, gun, take him out?
So again, Senator, that information stayed in local channels and did not make it over to Secret Service.
Did they not consider that relevant?
You're
You're saying that you're saying that the local police didn't consider that relevant enough to pass along to the Secret Service?
Sir, I think that they were in the midst of dealing with a very critical situation, and they articulated that over the radio, as I understand it. However, it was never relayed over to us.
Yeah, because you guys didn't uphold your obligation in holding the meeting to get everybody on the same channel, on the same frequency, or with your own internal communications equipment. That's what you did. Failure, failure, failure. UK Home Secretary gets grilled on police saying yesterday's stabbing attack on children was not terror related. This was put out by Ollie London, and here we go.
For them. You mentioned the investigation, of course. We heard from Merseyside Police yesterday that it isn't being considered a terror-related incident. How do we know that it's not terror-related?
Well, there is a serious criminal investigation underway because this was a horrific attack. It's important that the police pursue every single avenue, and that is what Merseyside Police are now doing. I support Merseyside Police in that work, but it's immensely important that they need to be able to continue that. And they will provide updates. You'll understand that I'm not going to say anything that would cut across their investigation or prejudice that investigation, as I take that investigation immensely seriously into this truly horrific attack.
We're in a bit of a knife crime epidemic at the moment. You can't really go listen to the news more than a week without hearing about a knife attack at the
for them.
Yep.
You mentioned the investigation.
Yep. Can't go more than a week without another attack being shown, So we already saw the Kennedy one. Here we go.
As an American citizen growing up in the United States, I have been told repeatedly that I'm in one of the freest countries in the entire world, that the entire world looks to my country for freedom. I've watched my political leaders give away trillions of my dollars to industries that I do not approve of, to organizations I do not agree with, and to foreign countries, especially Israel. And you know what? For the majority of my life, I really didn't care. It was annoying, it was a burden, it was sad to see, but it didn't have any real moral ground to stand on. I was being selfish because these countries needed my aid. They needed my help. As an American, I needed to work 40 hours a week, not really be able to afford a home, not really be able to have children, but I should support moral causes all over the world. And as I got older, when I heard the government come and say, we need to support a war in Ukraine, and I said, no, my political leaders have ties to that country, and that country is corrupt, and I don't agree with it. I don't want to support it. I had no choice. And billions of our tax dollars went to another war. I didn't agree with the Iraq war. I knew it was wrong. And it happened to be the same guy, Benjamin Netanyahu. And he's here again with another orchestrated event that he knew completely about. We all know now that Israel knew what was happening. They knew about the attack and did nothing to stop it. They even knew they were preparing for this attack and still didn't do anything about it. So I looked into the history. I wanted to know what's going on. Why is this guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, showing up in my life again to take more of my money and to tell me how to feel about things that are happening on the other side of the world? I'm not pro-Palestinian. I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not pro any of this crap. But what I am is a very pissed off American, because the politicians who are supposed to represent us, the people, we, the people, in our government are not doing that at all. They're representing the interests of other groups, of corporations. So Elon, I'll raise your go fuck yourself one. Fuck Israel. Because when I looked into it, I don't agree at all with what Israel's doing. I can see what they're doing in Gaza. It's disgusting. It's abhorrent. How are you possibly going to sit around and talk about human life when 20,000 people have already been killed by Israel? I won't be manipulated anymore. I looked at the information. I know the history. It's not even as old as Joe Biden. It wasn't hard to research and figure out what is really going on over there. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not pro-Palestinian. I am not pro-Hamas. I'm just an American citizen being forced, again, by my government to agree to things I don't agree with, to have my labor taken from me and given to other people that benefit my political leaders. I'm completely disgusted by all of them. Every single member of Congress should be stripped of their office. To create a bill forcing my allegiance to a foreign country is completely un-American. It is total treachery. This is not freedom at all anymore. I have the right to criticize a foreign country. I have a right to criticize Israel. There is no group of people anywhere in the world who is allowed to have an ethno-state. If I was to champion a white ethno-state, I would be labeled a white supremacist. This is ridiculous, this idea that I have to agree to Zionism. I have no reason to agree to it. I have no skin in the game. It does not matter to me what happens in the Middle East, and I am sick of being told that it does. I do not need Benjamin Netanyahu coming to my country again and telling the people who run my country what to do with my money, my livelihood, to put me at risk for his issues, for what he wants to accomplish. Israel is nothing more than a land development company with a military. Netanyahu has done this to me before in my lifetime. We killed 1 million Iraqis in a ridiculous moral crusade to find weapons of mass destruction that did not exist. How are we falling for this again? He is using the American people. As Americans, we need to stand up for this. Saying that you are not for this war, that you are not for giving our entire livelihoods to a fucking foreign country is not anti-Semitic. I hope that God protects all of his children, even the chosen ones. I don't hate Jewish people. I don't hate Israeli people, but I do hate the state of Israel because they are robbing from me. They are stealing from the people I love and care about, and they're ruining my country. The people who are meant to govern my people have allegiance to a country on the other side of the world, to the point where they're legislating criticism of that country against me. There are states in America that have laws against American citizens boycotting the state of Israel. Please explain to me how that comes to pass. How is that remotely free? Americans are not free in the least. We are economic slaves of a political class that has allegiances to foreign countries, whether it's Ukraine or Israel, or name one that's in our favor. And in the meantime, we are devastating lives across the globe. And then when those people are angry at us, I'm the one that has to pay the price. My people have to go fight these wars. My people have to protect ourselves from what the political class in our country has decided to do abroad. I didn't want to have to make this video. There's no reason as an American citizen that I should be under this much stress, that I have to say something like, fuck Israel. But the only way that I'm going to get other Americans to hear my voice and to realize it is okay to say fuck Israel. It is okay to say fuck any organization, any corporation. It doesn't matter. These are not individual people. These are not religions. I have no problem with anyone's ethnicity or religion whatsoever. I care about human beings. If you're telling me to be upset because I care about human beings is somehow racist or bigoted, you're delusional. It is time for the American people to replace every single member of Congress. They have all shown their cards by voting for this ridiculous House resolution. They all, Republican or Democrat, they're all the same. They don't care about the American people. They care about their office, and they care about getting reelected. And it's time that the Americans turn out and show them who's really in charge. Please vote for anyone who doesn't take funding. Vote for anyone who doesn't have an R or a D after their name.
Well, interesting.
As an American citizen growing up in the United States, I've been told repeatedly that I'm in one of the freest countries.
And there is the link for that video.
The entire world looks.
All right. Carly Boone shared it. Kash Patel's tweet here. It doesn't matter how many congressional hearings you hold regarding the Trump assassination and civilian murder. Call me when someone gets more than a headline feigning accountability. When Congress starts acting like a co-equal coordinate branch of government that they are, put your damn big boy pants on already and flex the Constitution. Yep. Let's see. Harris says if Congress doesn't take action on mandatory gun confiscation within the first 100 days of her administration, she'll do it via executive order.
Adding to your gun control agenda? I think it's a great idea, but I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action. Because what we need is action.
Yeah.
Adding to your gun control agenda?
So, yeah. Hold on to your guns. The older millennial, the tag team, the Biden administration and the Harris campaign are doing right now is actually brilliant. Here we go.
The tag team that the Biden administration and the Harris campaign are executing right now is brilliant. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that either of these individuals is brilliant. What I'm saying is that the way they're executing this is brilliant. So they are using the lame duck Biden administration to market test every single aspect of Harris's presidential platform. Like, think about this for a second. Biden recently proposed adding more justices to the Supreme Court. Now, why would he propose that? That's not something he can possibly do before he leaves office. And he's not running for re-election, so he can't do it next term. And then look at the wording he chose when he talked about it. He said, I want to do this. He didn't say his administration. He didn't mention Kamala Harris. And Harris hasn't talked about it either because they're market testing what she adds to her platform. They're having the lame duck Biden administration put out proposals and put out ideas. And then they're waiting to see how the media and the American people react to those proposals. If the media and the American people hate it, it'll stay a policy of the Biden administration and the Harris campaign won't do it. But if the media is positive to it, and the American people are positive to it, that will get added to the Harris political platform for president. And you're going to see a lot more of this. You're going to see the Biden administration proposing all kinds of shit they can't do in the remaining time they have. And then anything the media or the American people either respond well to or latch on to, you're going to see it as part of the Harris 2024 campaign. And anything people negatively respond to is going to stay with Biden. Like I said before, I think both of these people are fucking idiots, but this strategy is brilliant.
I have no idea what just happened in chat, and I'm not paying attention. Kamala Harris mandatory gun buyback program is waste words for votes.
Kamala Harris is trending today. I'm about to drop my goddamn phone. Blooper. Harris is trending today. She trends every day for one reason or another because obviously she's running to be president. How she got there, I guess, isn't important anymore. That was so last week. Today because some clips of her talking about what she plans to do in regards to firearm safety have come up, and that plan is kind of getting put together in her plans for what she's going to do for firearm control. In the clip, she talks about a mandatory buyback program if she were to become president. It means the government would come and they would give you money to buy back your firearms. Specifically, the automatic rifles, I think, is more of what they're going for. This video is also going around where she's kind of asked about it as well.
Your gun control agenda? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said, my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action.
It comes right down to it. You can't take executive action over individual states. If that were the case, then mass mandates would have been widespread. It wouldn't have been each state deciding, and then each county, and then each town. It was set up that way to prevent big government. Executive action all day long, but that doesn't mean that your state has to comply. That doesn't mean your county has to comply, and it doesn't mean your town has to comply. That's all talk for votes. It won't happen. It can't happen. Oh, it could in the blue states and blue counties and blue towns, sure. The left has been out here for the last couple of years screaming about a civil war and making all kinds of threats. And they want, I mean, if you're going to buy into the government buyback program when it comes to your firearms, you want to scream about a civil war. I mean, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight because we wouldn't participate in a buyback program, but we're responsible owners, right? I also know that's not going to stop bad guys from getting firearms. It isn't going to do anybody any good by taking firearms away from the good guys. Earlier this year, Iowa put into legislation, I think it's starting next year, that teachers would be allowed to carry firearms if they chose to. They have to go through classes and they have to get a permit and they got to do all of these things and they have to keep up with these classes. It's voluntary. You don't, as a teacher, you don't have to do it, but you can volunteer to do it, and then you can carry while you're in school. It's going to stop a bad guy in a school with a firearm faster than the cops getting there. Obviously, as we've seen before, that didn't work out so well. But that's because the state allowed them to do that. I almost said Bill Clinton. Blooper! Not Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris. It's a state decision. A lot of things that they talk about, especially during election season, are state decisions. The federal government can't do anything about it anyway. Just talk a big game so that they can get your vote. Just like what do they want? They want to take Roe v. Wade back, but they can't. Because if they could have, they would have already done it. Joe's been president for 4 years. Why haven't they done it yet? Because they can't. Stop them from running on it and reproductive rights. It's a state decision. If you got beef about it, take it up with your state legislature. It's dumb.
Just dumb. Yep. It's somebody called me handsome. I think somebody needs glasses. Yeah, Mikey B is right. Never give up your guns. Look at England. Yep. And I did see that there was starting to be a pretty big buildup of arrests going on and stuff. So massive cover up on the way.
Fox News alert. A Secret Service counter sniper is predicting another assassination attempt before November. In an email obtained by Real Clear Politics, a Secret Service agent with 20 years experience on the counter sniper team is announcing he's going to blow the whistle until all of his supervisors are fired. The counter sniper says his mission is to prevent another JFK-style assassination. And the only reason that hasn't happened is because they've gotten lucky. He says Secret Service leadership is corrupt and states clearly, quote, We all should expect another assassination attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to protect our leaders due to our leadership. After this email went public, it was wiped off the Secret Service servers. There's a massive cover-up underway, and it spilled over into Congress. After Cheadle resigned in disgrace, her number 2 got promoted and testified today that the Secret Service screwed up, but the local police, it was really all their fault.
30 seconds. If it's communicated directly to a counter sniper team, would that be enough time to react prior to the firing of those shots?
Senator, if we'd had that information, they would have been able to address it more quickly. It appears that that information was stuck or siloed in that state and local channel.
Were explicit instructions provided to cover the roof of the AGR building and locals just not follow it, or were those explicit instructions not provided?
It's my understanding what was communicated is that the locals had a plan and that they had been there before. We are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
The Secret Service set the perimeter, established communications, didn't fly a drone, didn't put a counter sniper on the roof, and never even showed up to brief the locals. The local SWAT commander said Secret Service never told them to man that roof.
The accusation that somehow we were told that to be on the roof line, for instance, and that it was too hot. That's ridiculous. You know, our snipers are prepared to operate in Western Pennsylvania from anywhere from 10 degrees below zero to 90 degrees. They were prepared to be wherever they were told by Secret Service that day.
Why did the Secret Service not want that roof covered? Why? We learned today that the Secret Service was offered a drone, but turned it down. And they never even caught Crooks's drone because they had problems with their internet.
You had a drone system, but you had bandwidth problems. The bandwidth apparently was adequate for the shooter's drone, but not for the Secret Service. Can you explain that?
I have no explanation for it, sir. People fly drones all the time on the peripheries of our sites. And we go out and we talk to them and we ascertain what their intentions are. On this day in particular, because of the connectivity challenge, as you noted, there was a delay and he flew his drone at 3:51 approximately.
You can buy a local hotspot from T-Mobile for $20. And not only that, the Biden-Harris administration spent $40 billion to wire rural America with internet. And the Secret Service doesn't have Wi-Fi in Pennsylvania? Remember, after the shooting, the FBI said they couldn't find a motive and Crooks was a registered Republican? Well, the CEO of Gab, a social media site, has just come forward with the data showing Crooks had an account where he aggressively defended Joe Biden and his border policies and his COVID lockdowns. Does he sound like a Republican? After this revelation, the FBI came out today and said Crooks wrote right-wing things online.
Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature. While the investigative team is still working to verify this account to determine if it did in fact belong to the shooter, we believe it important to share and note it today, particularly given the general absence of other information to date from social media and other sources of information that reflect on the shooter's potential motive and mindset.
Why is the FBI acting so sketchy and dishonest about Crooks's political ideology? We don't care if he's a right-winger or a left-winger. He tried to kill Trump. Why is the FBI working so hard to muddy up his philosophy? He's a Democrat donor, then he's a Republican, then he's pro-Joe Biden open borders, then he's anti-immigrant. Why are the feds treating a dead assassin so cryptically? And why can't they crack into all of his accounts? We can hack the Iranian nuclear program, but not a 20-year-old's blog? I'm not buying it. And why don't we know the name of the Secret Service site supervisor in Butler? The man who made all these wrong calls all at once, all on the same day?
Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave
the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not
I know
been
their
relieved
name,
of
by the
duty.
way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility.
Why hasn't the Secret Service site supervisor for the Butler rally been suspended? Why is he still in charge of protecting politicians? Why isn't he under investigation? They're keeping him around to help do the investigation? Are they going to keep him around for Trump's next Butler rally? And the senators know the guy's name. Why hasn't the Senate subpoenaed the Secret Service site supervisor for Butler? That's the guy who they should drag in to testify under oath about what happened, not these squirrely bureaucrats. Why is everybody protecting this guy? Who is this guy? The politicians won't even tell us what the guy's name is. Something stinks, and you know what I'm talking about. Former FBI Special Agent, Navy SEAL, Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, why don't we know this guy's name? That's the only name that matters.
Because they don't want you and I to know that name. That's why, Jesse. The reality is all these people that you see up there talking, they are from the senior executive service. That's who makes up all these directors. That's who makes up all these cabinet members. These people come and go, and they don't even have to be from that agency. But the reality is they're all politicians. They all speak in political rhetoric, and many of them are careerists that never really operated that much in their field, and then they got promoted because they went through the ranks and climbed that ladder. So I am very suspicious when you look at the totality. I say this a lot on here, the totality of the circumstances. What you see is that whoever that individual is that was responsible for the threat assessment and the management of that is responsible for overall creating a fatal funnel and an avenue of approach that this attacker and any attacker, remember, they knew that Iran had warned them or that there was a threat coming from Iran, and yet they still left this avenue of approach open. They knew that a guy was there, and they didn't take Trump off the stage. That, if it was one thing that they did wrong, that somebody took advantage of, that would be one thing. But this is a whole system of failures. And when you compare that to, let's say, the FBI creating fake evidence, a dossier, to run that through a unit that usually scrubs that stuff that was nowhere to be found. That information was passed to a FISA judge who approved them to spy on Trump, people who work for Trump. When you look at that avenue that was made, when you look at the IRS, when you look at all the Department of Homeland Security and how they've created these avenues for these things to occur, and it always comes back on either defeating Trump, hurting Trump, or the American people.
Jonathan,
I can't just say.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know yet, but we'll find out. Why did they turn a drone down? If someone offers you a drone, sure, we'll take the drone. Why'd they turn the drone down?
Because, I mean, if I'm looking at this from an investigative standpoint, and again, I'm looking at the totality of circumstances, I can only say it's because somebody didn't want it there. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I keep saying this. I don't go on conspiracies. But all this evidence leads to the same place. They didn't want to take Trump off the stage no matter what, and they wanted this fatal funnel to exist.
It's unbelievable. And now people are coming forward from counter sniper Secret Service and saying there will be another attempt on Trump's life before the election, which is absolute craziness. It scares the heck out of everybody. All right, Jonathan, we're going to figure this out. Thank you.
All right. So, I got a message, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was the day before, because I played a clip from Jesse Waters, and a lot of people said, I thought we were supposed to be the news. Why are you playing clips from Fox? And I said, and my response was pretty simple, and I didn't hear back from them since then, is that in the Q drops, it said to watch the waters. And the waters, is referring to multiple things. Yes, watch the oceans. watch our waterways, watch the poisoning going on with our water, so on and so forth. Okay. But there's more than one meaning to it. And Jesse is pretty much the only one on Fox other than Greg Gutfeld that has been pretty much dropping truth bombs, trying to report factual, 100% factual information, and that's the reason that I play clips of him, is because they are relevant to the topics, and it is an unveiling of more in regards to those that are hired as protectants to our elected officials. All right. So I thought this one was interesting.
Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And when I am president, I will work to actually solve the problem.
Well, it's funny that you're the vice president in charge of the problem,
is my
and you're
pledge
doing nothing.
to you. Donald Trump does.
It's you've been vice president for 3.5 years. You've been the border czar for more than 3 years, and you are doing absolutely nothing. You are doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. All right. Here we go with old Turtle, or Mr. Turtle, Senator Turtle.
I watched with great interest yesterday the president's suggestions about the Supreme Court. I couldn't be more disappointed. This is a man who was chairman of the Judiciary Committee for a long time. He absolutely knows what he recommended is unconstitutional, to try to limit the terms of Supreme Court justices who, under the Constitution, are appointed for life. That shows you the depths to which they have gone lately to attack the Supreme Court, because they don't like the current makeup of the court and decisions that they disapprove of. The way to change that is to win the presidency and the Senate and to appoint people that you like, but not to try to break the Supreme Court. We saw that even when they were reluctant to protect Supreme Court members who were being threatened at their homes. So this is a level of that I think is just simply unacceptable. I'm disappointed in the president for doing it. I know he knows better, and such a proposal will be dead on arrival in Congress.
Yeah, well, that's why I let the word. That's why I left the caption on the video so that you could read along. Good move. Harley Davidson now represents pedophilia and child exploitation. Stop the cult by boycotting. Protect children at all costs. This is a video of Sean Strickland, one of the UFC fighters. I believe he's a champion. I don't know what weight class or anything like that, because I don't watch it, but here we go.
You guys, I don't want to make this video. I love Harley. I've owned Harleys most of my life, but I will never own a Harley again. If you love America, you won't own a Harley. And let me explain to you guys why I'm so upset and why you should be upset. The CEO of Harley is a woke zealot. This man wrote the book on wokeism. He wants to fundamentally change who you are, how you live, and how you think, and how you raise your family. This man started an organization called the B Team. And its sole purpose is to fundamentally change how you think. And now you have to ask yourself, why Harley Davidson, an American company, a World War II company, why does this company have this fundamental German zealot that knows nothing about America or its brand? Why is he the CEO? And I'll tell you guys, there's two companies, Vanguard and BlackRock. $10 trillion, they own everything. When you want to know who the enemy is, it's BlackRock and Vanguard. Who is one of the biggest owners of these companies? George Soros. This German they put in this company is an industry plant by this corrupt, sick leftist oligarch. to ruin, control, and manipulate Harley. If you love America, you will not own a Harley. And I'm getting rid of this Harley as soon as possible.
Yep. Selling it off. I know a few other people who are selling their Harleys now too. And the big customers of Harley Davidson, we're talking $70 to $100,000 purchases at a time. They customize and build Harleys, and now they're going to start building other things. Yeah. All right. Where are all the children, Kamala?
So real quick, I think people here have a little sense. Do you think that it's acceptable that under Kamala Harris's watch, 85,000 children have gone missing under the custody of the federal government? Do you think that it's acceptable that she's ignored the rape, trafficking, and torture of Hispanic women and children? Do you think that it's okay that she has turned a blind eye to the fentanyl that's destroying our communities, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic, rich or poor? It is ruining our country. And do you think that it is okay that she's turned a blind eye to our kids going off to college, young women, to mothers being raped and tortured by people that are coming here illegally, breaking the law, and are known criminals? You see, as a minority woman, she had a seat at the table and she did nothing, which is the worst thing that you could possibly do. You see, J.D. Vance will be a solution when President Trump gets elected, and I say when because according to Kamala Harris's polling, it's not looking good for her team.
Yep. Her polling is doing really, really bad. They started her off as up and up with Trump, and she's just been going down ever since. Yep. Script Keeper Elect says it's always been the government and the infiltrated church.
Tatanka here, just a friendly reminder, Native Americans are less than 1% of the population. Maybe we should start thinking about this fact. It's regrettable and it's fucked up what happened to the missing indigenous children of the Americas. It's also fucked up what happened to the thousands of, children in Ireland and Scotland. Also that the church and the government murdered just like our ancestors before they come over here. No different, same thing. Different country, different people, different narrative. It was still white people it happened to, just like it's happening to our people, done by the same government and the same church. It doesn't really matter. The issues at hand right now is what's going on in Cuba, what's happening in Venezuela, Brazil, and, in Europe, and rest of places around the world, not just here in the United States, including the world where there's almost 10 billion people and there's, less than 5 million Native Americans. The real issue is that we need to be coming together and stopping the government and this, Illuminati or the one world government, all this bullshit, whatever you want to call it, from happening instead of spreading more hate.
Pretty simple, right? All right. So this is where I'm going to call it, guys. I do have a bunch of stuff I've got to get done today during the cool hours before the sun really starts cranking up on me. And it's almost that time now. So I will see you guys again tomorrow about the same time. I know Dave is trying to get a thing set up with Steve, the maestro. I'm not sure when that's going to be. I know that Slow Country's got something set up for me to join him on Friday. Yeah, I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow. Remember, the Creator, he loves you dearly. He offered his son, the Christ, as a sacrifice for each and every one of us to be able to join him when this world is done. And he loves you. And me, I love you. We'll see you again mañana. Peace.